Welcome to A Marvelous Life. I'm Nashology, and today we are tackling one of the most important game-changing events in Marvel's 80-year history. The one and only Civil War. Sought after as one of the most influential Marvel events, Civil War helped comic scribe Brian Michael Bendis pave a path of domination through Marvel's modern era. Pair that with the incredibly successful 2016 film, and you can feel the generational impact Civil War has had on fans of both comic books and the entertainment landscape itself. The idea? What if public perception of the superhero becomes fragile and unpopular? What if the U.S. government decided that hidden identities are now outlawed? Quite simply, you would get the Superhuman Registration Act. A law that states that all superpowered individuals must act under official regulation, no different than a police officer. You must reveal your true identity to S.H.I.E.L.D. and submit to training, or give up the legal use of your power for good. And as you can imagine, the introduction of this law reverberates through Marvel's socio-political landscape, causing a rift in the status quo that completely alters Marvel's ongoing publications for years to come. It all starts with the question: whose side are you on? A question whose very existence creates a schism throughout the Marvel Universe. A schism with a pair of firmly planted feet on either side: Iron Man and Captain America. But we'll not spoil the fun. For fans of the MCU, you'll see a completely different story from what you saw on the big screen. It's a hell of a good story, and definitely one of Marvel's best. Without further ado, this is the story of Civil War. With the cameras on and the stage set, entertainment history is about to be made. For reality television has never seen a show like this before. A show too real for its own good. A show where nothing is held back. For the new Warriors don't care about the potential danger. They just care about the potential views. But their ratings are down, and their show's future is on the line. This episode needs to be good. It needs to be a hit. But Speedball is not worried, not one bit, because they've finally hit pay dirt. 4 supervillains, all escapees from the raft, here in this house. There's no way this can go wrong. For the new Warriors are strapped and ready to go. Honestly, who needs the Avengers anyways? In 60 seconds, 3 of the supervillains are down, but the new Warriors aren't finished yet. There's still one left to take out. But they're here for a clean sweep, and with zero hesitation, Namorita takes to the skies. It's time to dish out celebrity justice. This is their TV show's last chance. This takedown needs to go smooth. But smooth isn't on her mind as Namorita crushes the villain known as Nitro into a parked school bus. And just like that, the young group of heroes show that you don't need to be Avengers to take down the villains. You just need... A daunting shadow sets over America as an inescapable reality is about to permeate the political landscape. 900 civilians dead, and the blame is all too clear. For America has become the Wild West, adolescents with superpowers and zero accountability. But today, that changes. Today, someone will be responsible. With overwhelming emotion, the woman screams in Tony Stark's face. It's all his fault. He and the Avengers hold all the blame. After years of skirting the law, impressionable vigilantes all over the world have been inspired to use their powers regardless of the consequences. Her son, his friends, hundreds of innocents, all perished because of lawless vigilantes, untrained, unexperienced, and undeserving of their power. And the Avengers stand beneath it all. They proudly show the world that with great power comes zero responsibility. And now with it comes a price tag. Nearly 1,000 innocent lives. Children who will never see their parents smile again. It's all your fault, Tony Stark. The blood of the children is on your hands. As the loud roar of excitement concentrates outside a local nightclub, one of New York's premier heroes readies for a night out. Approaching his date, Johnny Storm apologizes for being late. The recent disaster is affecting everyone. But there's no problem, because tonight we get to unwind. Tonight, we get to forget our sorrows. But some sorrows burn too brightly, and some fires cannot be controlled by the Human Torch. Members of the line begin shouting obscenities at Johnny, hurling insults as sharp as daggers. Who cares about the hundreds of dead kids as long as the almighty Human Torch gets to party with his women? Confused by this outburst, Johnny is taken back by this flurry of hatred. But the insults give way to threats. Violence begins erupting from the streets of New York. But Johnny, brimming with confidence, stands his ground. He's not a new warrior. He's a real hero, and he has no dead kids on his conscience. But his conversation is interrupted by his date. Scared, she just wants to go home. But that'll have to wait. As the clubgoers attack the downed Johnny, kicking him into the pavement, more and more people rush to the scene to give their assistance. But as he fades out of consciousness, Johnny realizes the startling truth. None of that assistance is for him. The world is in chaos. 1,000 civilians dead, with no one accepting the blame. Now, more than ever, accountability needs to occur. With powers as destructive as nuclear weapons, the world cannot stand by while juvenile vigilantes use their power without constraint. Something needs to change. If the U.S. government doesn't act now, there will be a nationwide witch hunt. Anyone with superpowers will be tied to the stake. America will no longer remain quiet. Superhumans will no longer operate above the law. The era of the superhero is about to change. Above New York, S.H.I.E.L.D. begins to organize. The political landscape is about to dramatically shift. Once the Superhuman Registration Act is passed through Congress, S.H.I.E.L.D. will need to act quick. And who better to rein in the chaos than Captain America? Maria Hill explains the situation. As soon as the act is passed, every superpowered individual in America will officially be an illegal armed combatant. It will be up to Captain America to bring them in, regardless of who they are and inconsequential of their attitude. They will come in peace, or they will be locked away. They accept the law, or they get buried under the gavel. Confused? Well, you shouldn't be, because the law is very simple. We're talking about the Superhuman Registration Act. Every individual who operates as a crime fighter, both powered and non-powered, need to submit their personal information to the government. Address, name, basically anything you'd find on a driver's license. Goodbye anonymity. Why? The purpose of this law is to ensure that all crime fighters are legally registered and properly trained. No more destructive powers hidden behind a mask. And what happens if you don't comply? You'll see. Understanding the trajectory of this conversation, Captain America warns Maria Hill. This will ignite a war within the superhuman community, a war nobody will win. Solidifying his stance, Cap tells her that he won't be the government's general in this war. It's unconstitutional and a disgusting invasion of privacy with deadly consequences. No, he will not wave the flag for the Registration Act. Sensing the impending disaster, Maria gives him one last warning. Go round up your friends, force them to comply, or have your shield unceremoniously stripped. But his decision is already made as he screams back in defiance. He will not pit Avenger against Avenger. He will not forsake his family. Well, looks like it's on to Plan B. Surrounded, Maria tells the captain that his time in the spotlight is done. There's no room for heresy. Captain America is about to be the first victim of the Registration Act, a symbol to all future detractors. And a reminder that nobody is above the law, not even the great Steve Rogers. Sorry, Cap, playtime is over. A sentiment shared by Captain America. Charging through the SHIELD soldiers, Captain America breaks for the windows. If he's going to get out, he needs to leave now. The brutal fight reaches its climax as Maria Hill signals to all the soldiers on deck. Stop the captain, no matter what. But Cap has other plans as he fearlessly jumps from the helicarrier window, quickly succumbing to gravity while effortlessly deflecting incoming fire. To escape their clutches, he'll only have one shot at this. His timing needs to be precise. And precise he is, landing unexpectedly on top of a passing jet. Gripping his shield for dear life, he tells the pilot to keep flying, as Captain America successfully extracts himself from his precarious situation. The line has officially been drawn, and the stage is finally set. Tomorrow, the world will change. And Captain America will officially be enemy number one. Large crowds gather outside the White House as U.S. lawmakers are about to decide on the future of superhuman affairs. They demand justice and that someone finally takes responsibility. But as they're about to find out, somebody has. A new face of the Registration Act. A new presence to ensure its speedy enactment. And a face that knows they need to act fast. Before Captain America is allowed to rally a resistance. Above New York, SHIELD Director Maria Hill grits her teeth for the days ahead. Only minutes to go until the streets plunge into chaos. Her nightmare scenario is coming true, the only thing she wanted to prevent. And as her SHIELD soldiers storm the next criminal hideout, she's forced to watch the nightmare unfold. The nightmare that's going to completely derail the Superhuman Registration Act. Captain America has gone underground, and now he's no longer alone. As midnight approaches, the Fantastic Four eagerly await the Registration Act officially becoming law. Everyone but Reed Richards, whose work on behalf of the Registration Act is just beginning. Although taken aback by the severity of the law, Reed explains to his wife its importance. By his calculations, if superhumans are not kept in check, the Earth will soon face an apocalyptic-level event. They need to work with the government to prevent unnecessary catastrophes. Looking down at his workbench, Sue Storm spots an odd item that catches her attention. A CD cryptically marked 42. But when pressed for its importance, Reed simply tells her that it's classified. Project 42 will be revealed when the time is right and not a moment before. An answer which somehow frightens the hesitant Sue Storm. Whatever he and Tony are planning is going to shake the world to its foundations. Racing across the rooftops, the young hero known as Patriot runs for his life. For he is now a wanted criminal, guilty of being a superhuman. With the Registration Act now law, S.H.I.E.L.D. isn't pulling its punches. All undocumented heroes are now the enemy. But like many other heroes, Patriot will not give in to the system, not while a resistance is being formed. Catching his breath, Patriot radios to the team. S.H.I.E.L.D. is not giving up the fight. They won't stop until all metahumans are captured. And they're willing to do whatever it takes. A few blocks away, the rest of Patriot's friends, the Young Avengers, are subdued by S.H.I.E.L.D. forces. Seeing the explosion from the road, they know it's only a matter of time before Patriot is captured. Speeding down the street, the S.H.I.E.L.D. convoy know they need to move fast. Captain America is out there and he won't sit by while heroes are arrested. Inside the armored transport, one of the S.H.I.E.L.D. guards discusses the absurdity of the situation. Anyone who doesn't abide by the law deserves to be in prison. It's because of these idiots that the world is unsafe. This resistance is only going to get people killed. Captain America should know better. Speaking of Captain America, don't you look familiar? With a police barricade fast approaching, the armored vehicle drives full speed ahead. Removing their restraints, the S.H.I.E.L.D. guard reveals himself as Sam Wilson, the superhero known as the Falcon. Releasing Wiccan, he screams at him to use his powers. It's the only way they'll get out of this alive. But they only have seconds to go as the barricade fast approaches. And Captain America steps on the gas. It's now or never. Finally free from S.H.I.E.L.D., the Young Avengers cautiously exit the armored vehicle and are immediately welcomed to the Resistance, the ones at war with the Superhuman Registration Act, the ones gathered by Captain America. Looking around, the Young Avengers nervously ask where they've been taken, to which Captain America tells them that as long as Iron Man is pushing the Registration Act forward, this will be their new home. But the introductions are cut short as the Resistance notices something on the TV, the first big shock of the new era. Parading over a sea of media reporters, Tony Stark can't help but smile, his passion for the federal employment of superheroes growing by the second. The world watches on as Tony is about to solidify his stance on the Registration Act, as he calls forth his friend and fellow Avenger, Peter Parker. Peter explains that he's kept his identity hidden since he was 15 years old. But it's time for the world to trust heroes again. It's time for us to be accountable. And with great power comes great responsibility. Filling another glass of cold lemonade, Tony Stark continues his quest of ally building. With Emma Frost and the X-Men on his side, there's no war they cannot win. And he's going to win this war, make no mistake. Cutting to the chase, Emma tells Tony that he won't have the blessing of the mutants. What they're doing goes against every fiber of their being. To which Tony quickly fires back. This is what America wants. The entire public is on board, and the time of vigilantism is over. But the argument isn't convincing, especially not to a mutant whose lives are defined by persecution of their kind. The mutants will not join your war. They will not hunt others simply because of their genetics. Knowing he's lost this battle, Tony takes his leave, but not before asking his final question. Will you join Captain America's war? And with a small, devilish smile, Emma tells him true. This war is not their own. The mutants will watch from the sidelines. Although once they were America's most prized heroes, celebrated for their strength, now they meekly hide in plain sight. Captain America and his resistance are now on the run. His secret Avengers, public enemy number one. Fake identities and cheap masquerades are the only thing keeping them from S.H.I.E.L.D. custody. But this is just how it is. Iron Man is on the hunt for any and all undocumented superhumans, regardless of who they are. A notion that still shocks Steve Rogers to his core. This shouldn't be their lives. They shouldn't need to hide. And the government should not force themselves into the lives of its citizens. But they are still heroes, and thus they still have a job to do, regardless of the imminent danger to themselves. A chemical factory on fire, 400 trapped inside. There's no time to wait for S.H.I.E.L.D. They need to go now. Because when innocent lives are on the line, it doesn't matter what side of the law they're on. Help is on the way. Appearing at the chemical plant, Captain America and his resistance are greeted with smoke and ash. But something's not right. There are no screams, no panic signals, nothing to indicate the endangerment of lives. But it doesn't take long for Cable to figure out the truth. The chemical plant is owned by Stark Industries. It's a trap. As a flurry of tranquilizer darts quickly knock out the team's teleporters, as two of Captain America's team go down, they are quickly encircled by none other than Iron Man and his pro-registration team. But that's not all, as the captain turns around to see Spider-Man himself leading another crew behind them. And with a squadron of S.H.I.E.L.D. helicopters patrolling the sky, the secret Avengers are truly outnumbered. Squaring off, Iron Man pleads for Steve to surrender. The Registration Act is now law. There's no use fighting it. But the captain disagrees. This law will endanger lives, the lives of family members and loved ones. If S.H.I.E.L.D. gets hold of everyone's secret identity, it's only a matter of time before that information is leaked to the world. What happens then? But Tony pushes on. Heroes have fallen out of favor with the public. They need to rekindle that trust. Extending his hand, Tony asks for the opportunity to explain himself. A way to end this war before it begins. And with one long look of disapproval, Captain America firmly shakes his hand. But unfortunately for Tony, it's not an act of peace. Because the war has already begun. As Iron Man's armor begins to overload, the Captain's secret Avengers ready themselves for battle. As Captain America awards himself with the opening blow, all chaos breaks out, with both teams of Avengers ferociously engaged in combat. With Iron Man on the ground, Captain America looks to take out Spider-Man. But it's no good, he's too fast. As he grabs the shield and uses it to take out Captain America's team, before bringing his assault to the Captain himself. It's not long before the downed Iron Man regains control by rebooting his power systems. In a matter of moments, he's back in the game. And now, he's going to finish the Captain's resistance once and for all. As the war wages on, Maria Hill tells S.H.I.E.L.D. to stand down. They need to stay back for what comes next. Iron Man's turn is up. It's time to activate codename Lightning. Back on the ground, Hercules rushes to protect Captain America, but Hercules is simply not quick enough. Shock sets in as both rosters of heroes look up to the skies. Whatever battle that was previously waged is quickly foregone. For in this war of men, somebody brought a god. After nearly 1,000 people were killed filming the new Warriors TV show, the U.S. government has finally decided to step in, introducing the Superhuman Registration Act. Now, according to the law, superhumans are walking, talking weapons. If you have a power, be it natural or otherwise, you must register yourself with the U.S. government. Captain America wants nothing to do with this law as he feels it encroaches on the lives of its citizens. Iron Man, on the other hand, decides to lead the pro-registration forces on behalf of S.H.I.E.L.D. and the U.S. government. Why? He feels responsible for all the deaths caused from amateur superhumans. He believes this will change the world for the better and will run through anyone who opposes it. Right now, that anyone is Captain America and his band of secret Avengers. But whose side is Thor on? Well, we'll find out. As the storm rages on, the combatants stand in awe before the mighty god. Lightning courses through the air. But whose side is he on? How is he even alive? But whose side is of no question. His loyalty is all too clear. And Captain America is going to need a much bigger army. Realizing this battle can't be won, Captain America's team begin to fear the next move. This is suicide. But he's not finished. Far from it. Let's clear something up. Thor is dead. Or, at least that's what the world thought up until this very moment. After stopping the apocalyptic event known as Ragnarok, Asgard and all of its people were destroyed. Turns out, Thor never returned from this event, and it was basically assumed he was killed. Thus, seeing Thor is completely confusing for everybody. With the war waging outside, Iron Man looks to finish his battle with the Captain. But he's not going to have a win handed to him. Not while there's still breath in Steve Rogers' lungs. Tony tells him this is only going to end one way, with him and his team in prison. And with one final look, he prepares to end the fight once and for all. Or so he thought. As Hercules attacks from behind, launching a massive chemical truck at Iron Man, with the resulting explosion sending all three combatants flying. Time's running out for the Captain as a piece of debris falls in his direction. But the Falcon is coming for his best friend, and his quickness fortunately pays off, as he brings Captain America to safety. This battle is over, and they need to leave fast. But the war is still waging, with both sides determined for victory. Neither team prepared to surrender. Retrieving his hammer, Thor looks to end the Captain's team for good. This battle has gone on for too long. A sentiment agreeable to Bill Foster, the gigantic hero known as Goliath. Feeling his rage consume him, Bill is willing to die for Captain America, willing to die for the right cause. Luckily for him, death is on the menu. The body of Goliath collapses to the ground as both sides of the battle look on in shock. This isn't supposed to be happening. Heroes should not be fighting heroes. But the time for talk is over, as Thor prepares for the next strike. He's willing to kill anyone he can. But his killing spree is over. This war will not take any more lives. As Susan Storm herself protects Captain America's people, She will not stand by while Iron Man's forces kill her friends. And before the captain's team can count their blessings, they quickly teleport away from the battle. Realizing the battle is over, Reed Richards activates the shutdown code for Thor, prompting him to fall into a mechanical slumber. With a look of disdain, Susan places the blame for this war on her husband. He was supposed to save lives, not take them. But it's too late for that. Iron Man has made his move. He's shown everyone that he's willing to take lives, as long as the end justifies the means. And as devastation overtakes Peter Parker's outlook, he realizes he might be fighting for the wrong side after all. Back at Avengers Tower, Iron Man's forces recover from the hard-fought battle. But Hank Pym can't shake the overwhelming feeling of regret. He knows this was the wrong decision. Thor is missing. Nobody knows if he's alive or dead, but they needed a god on their side, someone to help win this war. So they created a god of their own. Using Thor's DNA, they created a mechanical clone. He may not have the exact power of a god, but apparently he can kill a superhero easy enough. A cold, hard truth realized by Goliath, a lifelong friend whose death falls at their feet. It was never supposed to be this way. Nobody was supposed to die. This war is getting out of hand. Everything is falling apart. How long until the next person is killed? How long until the Avengers are ruined forever? And how long until this civil war destroys everything they hold dear? A heavy rain falls on the gathered crowds as the first victim of the Civil War is laid to rest. Goliath was a superhero, a man who fought for the people, and now he is reduced to nothing by those he fought alongside. The pain hits Tony, but he keeps himself in check. This can't be his fault, can it? Approaching from behind, a woman's voice carries itself above the heavy rainfall. It's the woman from the funeral service, the one whose words still haunt Tony's nightmares. She tells him that Goliath knew what he was doing. He locked in his fate the moment he sided with Captain America. He was not a victim of the Civil War. He was a perpetrator of it. It's up to Tony to create a safer America. It's up to Iron Man to stand up for the innocent. And he can do that by honoring her son's memory. This was her son's favorite toy, a symbol for good, a symbol of protection. Keep fighting this war, Tony. All of America is depending on you. With the death of Goliath and the division of the superhero community, it's imperative that the Civil War ends sooner than later. More and more people are joining the captain's side. The longer this war goes on, the higher the chance of additional casualties. It's time to introduce a curveball to the equation. We need a group of individuals who are not scared to go toe-to-toe with Captain America. Individuals with nothing to lose. We need a new edge in this Civil War. It's time to bring in the Thunderbolts. With tensions rising and the Thunderbolts now in the picture, the war between Captain America and Iron Man is just heating up. Stay tuned to the channel for part 2 of A Civil War here at A Marvelous Life. Until next time, I'm Nashology, and we'll see you soon.